Imagine a time when knights, kings, and entire armies traveled thousands of miles to fight for a city they had never seen. A time when religion and war collided, and the fate of the world seemed to hang in the balance. This was the era of the Crusades. For nearly 200 years, from the late 11th to the 13th century, a series of religious wars took place between Christian and Muslim forces. These wars, known as the Crusades, were fought over control of the Holy Land, specifically, Jerusalem, a sacred place for both religions. But to understand why these wars began, we need to look at the world of medieval Europe. During the 11th century, Europe was a land of feudal kingdoms, where the Catholic Church held immense power. The idea of fighting for God and reclaiming Christian lands appealed to many. But the Crusades were about more than just religion. Kings and nobles saw an opportunity for wealth, land, and political power. Ordinary people, including peasants, joined hoping for salvation, adventure, or a better life. It all started in 1095 when Pope Urban II made a passionate speech at the Council of Clermont. He urged Christian knights and soldiers to take up arms against the Muslim Seljuk Turks, who had taken control of Jerusalem and were threatening the Byzantine Empire. He promised that anyone who fought would have their sins forgiven. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of knights, peasants, and even entire families took up the call, believing they were fighting for their faith, while others sought adventure, wealth, or status. The First Crusade was brutal. After a long and dangerous journey across Europe and the Middle East, the Crusaders finally reached Jerusalem in 1099. They stormed the city, massacring its inhabitants, both Muslim and Jewish. For the Crusaders, it was a victory. They had established Christian control over Jerusalem and set up several Crusader states in the region. However, the Crusaders' hold on the region was fragile. Muslim forces quickly reorganized, and new conflicts arose. The Second Crusade, 1147 to 1149, was launched to defend the Crusader states, but it ended in failure. The Christian armies were disorganized and suffered heavy defeats, particularly in their attempt to capture Damascus. By the late 12th century, a new leader emerged, Saladin. He was a brilliant general who united the Muslim world and, in 1187, recaptured Jerusalem. Unlike the Crusaders, Saladin allowed Christians to leave peacefully or stay under Muslim rule, gaining respect even among his enemies. This led to the Third Crusade, one of the most famous, involving King Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and the Holy Roman Emperor. Richard and Saladin fought a fierce but respectful war, leading to a truce in 1192. Jerusalem remained under Muslim control, but Christian pilgrims were allowed to visit.
However, not all crusades went as planned. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 never even reached the Holy Land. Instead, the Crusaders attacked and looted Constantinople, a Christian city. In one of history's greatest betrayals, the Pope himself condemned the attack, but by then, the damage was done. Despite multiple attempts to reclaim the Holy Land, later crusades failed. The Fifth Crusade 1217 to 1221 targeted Egypt, but was defeated. The Sixth Crusade 1228 to 1229 saw Emperor Frederick II negotiating a brief peaceful return of Jerusalem to Christian control without bloodshed. However, in 1244, the city was taken back by Muslim forces. The Seventh and Eighth Crusades, led by King Louis IX of France, were disastrous. The Crusaders suffered from disease, poor planning, and decisive defeats. By the time the Ninth Crusade ended in 1272, enthusiasm for crusades had faded, and European leaders had turned their focus elsewhere. Over time, the Crusader states in the Middle East weakened. The final Christian stronghold, Acre, fell in 1291, marking the end of the Crusades in the Holy Land. So, what was the impact of the Crusades? They shaped history in countless ways. Trade between Europe and the Middle East expanded, new ideas and knowledge spread, and tensions between Christianity and Islam deepened. Europe saw advances in navigation, medicine, and culture thanks to interactions with the Islamic world. The Crusades also influenced later religious conflicts, colonialism, and the way history remembers the clash between civilizations.
Love history and tech? Subscribe now for epic stories. Like and comment your thoughts.